going to go ahead and start with the side pieces. You can see that it lines up here. It has cutouts and zippers to actually go all the way around this area. So we're going to go ahead and loosen this up first. And once you do, you're going to go ahead and insert it through, just like so. Once you have it all the way through this corner right here, I like to pull it a little bit so it tightens up. And then we can actually go ahead and wrap this around as well. It's going to be a really tight fit, so go ahead and pull it. So there you go, you got that part. And then let's go ahead and start zipping things up. Make sure you go below that part. There we go. There's actually Velcro right here, so you want to pull this through, and then you can use this to make it a tight fit in the bottom. And then now that we have this set, there is an actual insert right here as well, so make sure that goes through. And we're going to go ahead and zip this up. And it's okay that there's this kind of tension right here. That's totally fine, as long as all of these are going to be out like that. We're going to insert it first all the way through. Okay, this is a pretty tight fit. Push it all the way through. We're going to go ahead and hold this down. Going to insert it, and then use your fingers to grab the other side so you can pull a little bit more. And then as far as this area, you want to make sure you grab a trim tool like this. You're going to go ahead and start inserting it inside. I like holding it down with my fingers like this, and then you can use the trim tool to kind of finish putting it all in. And there you go, this is ready to go. This flat part right here is going to be at the top. So we're going to go ahead down first into this. And you're going to make sure that's all the way down. And then we're going to focus on the corners first. So there's a Velcro system that goes behind, like so. And we're going to do the same thing in this area. Make sure that there is no Velcro showing. This bar right here is going to go in between this, okay? So it's going to be pretty tight. Everything that we're doing is very, very tight. Boom. There we go. There is Velcro, so it is nice, but it is also a little bit annoying sometimes. The main goal right here is I'm trying to get it through the head right here. And then once I get that, I can kind of MacGyver all the other parts. And while I'm at it, let's go ahead and remove the buckle right here. There we go. So once that's good, it's aligned for the most part. We're going to go ahead and focus on the sides. Think about the Velcro, it's always going to be in the edge, so that is an alignment point. So you're going to go ahead and really pull this down and Velcro it to that bottom corner. And then this really pulls in and hugs that corner, and it's going to go down under like this. So before we Velcro that, I'm going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit. And then once you have that, you can go ahead. Next, we are going to make sure that this side is also in. Let's go ahead and make sure that this is in this little spot. You're going to be using the trim tools right here and really just pushing that in. And then once that's through, you want to do the same thing for this side right here. I'm going to go ahead and push this in. And then don't forget the smaller area right here. So use the trim tool here and just push that all the way in. All right, now that we have kind of loosely all the parts aligned, I'm going to go ahead and loosen this area. And I'm going to just pull this down to this corner because we know that this is the alignment point as well. Want to make sure we follow that line. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is open. This is the latch when you actually move the seat in and out, right? Now let's loosen this real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this in and really pull it and hold it down and pull it down into this area. Right here. And you're going to make sure that this aligns up to that, right? So you're going to pull it until it kind of hugs that area, and then you know that that's ready to go. I want to make sure that the alignment is still good, and then I'm going to continue my way. All right, so you can see right here, everything is fitting really well. Just be gentle right here. You're just going to stick the trim tool underneath, and you can actually pry it up, okay? Once you pry it up, you're gonna start with the little rip right here, and we're gonna start using the other trim tool to start inserting it in. It's actually a quite hollow space. Just make sure we are gentle in this area, and you can start inserting that in. And once you pry it up, it does come out a little bit, and then you just push it back. So we're going to be doing the same thing, but on this side now. We always start with the corner. I like pulling it in like so. And we're going to go ahead and pry it up as well. And once we pry it up, we just start inserting fabric into that area. So there we go. This is actually going to pull this down, and I'm going to put it in place. There you go. Fit it into place. There's a flimsy part. It's a pretty flexible plastic. I wouldn't overdo it, but you know, I kind of lifted it up, try to line that up, and once I line it up, it feels really, really tight. And once it does, this is, before I do it, let me put on a bolt. And then once you tighten it, it should feel like this. And you see how it's straight? One common mistake that I see is if you have it wrong, it's going to go like that, because it's actually not on the track that's right here. Lastly, we have the headrest right here. We're going to go ahead and put it on. This one's easy. Put it on, and now we have this whole seat completely done. It is pretty much the same as the other one, other than the fact that it doesn't have this little area right here and then the middle part, right? And we're going to go ahead and start from the top. Just go ahead and pull it down into this area. Boom, there we go. And then we're going to go ahead and put it through here. One thing to note is whenever there's a stitching like this, what that means is it doesn't tuck in anywhere. But if there's no stitching on those edges, it means that it's probably going to be tucked in. This gets zipped together like so. And then once it gets zipped in, we can go ahead and form this area. You're going to go ahead and push this back into place. As I showed you earlier, I like using the two trim method, where you're going to go ahead and start with the corner first. So if this does pop out, it's really just one clip in the back right here, and you just need to push it back into place. Sometimes it does come out because there's a little bit too much material. The other problem areas that you want to make sure that you look for, this area isn't going to hinder the little bracket right here. Make sure that this leather isn't going to go anywhere near that. This is completely open. This is where the latch is. This is pretty much done. Let's go ahead and do the last final one. So whenever you see these lines right here, these cables, these are actually going to go through the seat. But When I use this needle, just keep in mind that I'm actually not going through the leather part of it. I'm finding the seams, and it's a very, very tight seam, right? Because they're all stitched together, and then I'm going in between that. We got 4 right here, 4 right here, 2, and then we got the elastic. You also got this giant, really, really thick elastic, and this brings it all together. So once we have it on, we're gonna bring it all together and then tie it. And we also got this clips that go all around it as well. By doing this, you ensure that it's literally gonna stay in place at all times. And this will go in here, okay? So let's go ahead and use this needle. Go through it. There we go. And once you have it, all right, we're gonna go in between. And we're gonna just push through. And the Model 3 is actually all foam underneath. You're just gonna pull that through all the way. So one pro tip too is after you're done this, you wanna make sure that it doesn't come back. And you're gonna have to do all 8 of them or 10 of them in total. So just put a tape so it doesn't go all the way in, okay? So we have the next one now. There we go. And again, go in between the seams. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing here. Make sure we go in between. This is a plastic bar right here. So remember, keep in mind, we're trying to put it right here in the corner. So we're gonna go at an angle for this. There you go. It's all about that angle. So you wanna go into that area, and you can see going through, got my thread, and we're going to continue working our way into this area. It's the exact same thing from the other side. I'm just going to repeat it though. So now that we have all of those threads in, we're going to loosely start placing this into the seat cover. There you go, look at that. And now that everything's in place, all right, and all the threads are in place, you can see right here, this needs to go in, this needs to go all the way in, and then we can flip it upside down. And you can see I put on my tape, so now we can start removing this tape. Okay, so now that we have this done, we're going to go ahead and tie this knot. And then making sure that you pulled it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. There you go. So everything is pretty tight. And the next thing is you're going to bring this all the way out. And this cups it all together. This is a really long elastic. You're going to go ahead and really tighten this. And this one you definitely have to double tie. So you got 1, 2 elastic. And this one needs to pull up and then go all the way out here. Go ahead and grab just 2 of these. There's a little hook right here, so I usually just use that as a hooking point. So same thing right here. Grab 2 of these hooks. One of them is here. And we're gonna pull this all the way in. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull it. You're gonna go straight into the foam. You got another elastic right here. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pull it straight out into the foam. This is a very important part. This is showing. This is also showing. All right, so last part. we have this right here. Just grab your trim tool, go up. Let's go ahead and get this. Boom. Just loosen it up. Once you remove it, you're going to be using the clips from the actual seat cover, and that's going to replace that, and then you clip it. Just go over it, clip it. So just ignore the other clips that's there, and then you're going to clip it. So the rear seats took a long process, so we're back in day 2, and we're going to be putting the seats back. And it's pretty much a reverse order, so let's go ahead and get the double seats. The main thing that you want to make sure, it goes through this plate right here, okay? So make sure you guide that in first, and once you guide it in, it should be a little bit easier. The next is going to be guiding this metal plate in. There you go. These are 13mm nuts. Once you get to the end, like, don't over tighten it. This wasn't really that tight when I removed it. And again, once I get to the end, I'm just gonna tighten it. Don't forget to plug this back in, and this just pops right in. This little part right here is gonna be at the top. Just push it in. You gotta hear that click. Next, we have the seat belt. Remember that we had removed this. So this goes all the way through, like so. And we got to remove the tape now. And we are going to go ahead and change out our socket into a 15mm. And then this, make sure it's straight, goes underneath. Okay, this is the part that goes in the bottom. Okay, so it's going to go underneath the seat belt, and then it locks back in, like so. And then the nut just goes through. Okay, so for the seat belt, it is a safety mechanism, so I do tighten it pretty hard. Right here, I mean, it ain't gonna go anywhere. So the next seat we're gonna be putting is a single one. This part's a little bit hard. You might need to put some elbow grease right here. So it helped a little bit to push it forward a little bit like that, and then you saw it kind of just locked into place. And then I'm making sure before I put this bolts on that it locks, and then I could go in and out like that. We're gonna go ahead and use the bolts. These are gonna be 13mm, just like the other side, exactly the same. Make sure we got this cable right here. We're gonna do the same thing. Pull this all the way down like so. And you're gonna start at the bottom, okay? So you gotta make sure that you're inside or underneath the seat belts, and then you can see it right here when you look down, and you can see that it's in that slot, okay? So make sure it is. And then my reference when I do this, it's a little tricky. I had to do this a few times to kind of learn how to do it the right way, I think. And this goes all the way down to the bed right here. And once it does, it allows me to pull it in more into place. So I'm pushing it down. And then once I do that, I'm watching the side. So there's a clip right here that goes into the metal body, and then there's a big one right here. So while you're looking at that, I want to go ahead and just like that. So I made it look a little bit easy, but there's 2 points right here. This, I'm kind of pulling it out this way, and then once you push it down, and I'm putting a good amount of force, it actually just fits it into place. All right, so look at that. It shouldn't move. And you see how sturdy it is, and it lines up perfectly like so. So lastly, we have our final bench. Well, first of all, before you do anything, make sure you connect it. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this one first. So let's go ahead and connect this one as well. It's right here in the back. The first thing is to make sure you release the loose one, okay? So if you look at this right here, there's actually an indentation. And you want to feed that one first through this hole. There you go. All right, so now that you got this one, because remember it sits right there, now you can push it through all the way. And next we can work on lining this up. on this side. And then you got the other one right here as well. So let's go ahead and push this through. So I know that we haven't have everything on there yet, but I'm gonna actually go ahead and lock it in place. So all you need to feel is there's a bracket right here. Push it through and it should just lock up. So the seats are on. So now I can work on the actual seat belt area. And what you wanna do is the trim tools are gonna be your best friend. And you're just gonna work this area. All right, so there's a lot of material here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out. All right, so let me just do a double check. So this is going to be for right here. Just making sure that this is gonna be easy. You can see it's a little bit hard. Here's the trick though. Once you get it, you can pull it into this area. There we go. Once you pull it, let's see if it comes in and out. There you go. We're gonna go ahead and do the front seats, and these are exactly the same, so we're gonna show you on the passenger side. So before we get started, what we need to do is remove the headrest, and this is what actually holds this back plate. Okay, I know there's a lot of give right here, but there's two bars that go down that holds this in place. There's also clips right at the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and first remove this, it'll come back out, and then we're gonna remove the two clips underneath the seat. As we've shown you in the back seat, when you do it, you use a flathead. This is gonna be the same thing, but it's actually a different mechanism, right? In the other one, you go through that little insert and then it pushes that in and you're able to remove it. In this case, you actually have to bring down the leather all the way down into this black part right here. And you'll see a metal bar like this. And this metal bar is what is holding that thing. So you're gonna go ahead and pry it out. And once you pry it out, until I can, there you go. All right, let's bring it back up. And then you can just pull it and it just comes out. All right, because there's nothing holding at this point. And you can see right here, these two bars right here, this is where it's coming in and holding this in place. The clips, there's two on an elastic and it's a little bit challenging. And the way it works is it goes around and it has these little hooks like that, and it hooks onto the plastic little trim underneath. And now that this is removed, we can go ahead and start covering this up. One thing I want to make it clear is the Model 3 is slightly different. I mean, the installation is almost exactly the same, but the Model 3 actually has 2 points. You'll have one right here and one a little bit after, right about here. So just like I've been doing, make sure you're splitting the seams and then going in between that. You actually don't have the side strap or the elastic right here. And then the other difference is instead it has an elastic in the front. So you would have to pull this through all the way and then clip it like we did on the back ones as well. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of very, very small differences. As far as the back, it is exactly the same. The bottom part of the seat is relatively simple. Just like we did it with the rear seats, we do have to go through. This is where the seat kind of lies down. You can see that this corner right here is right over here. So that's what we're going for. You really just need one of the lines. You don't necessarily need two. This strap is going to go around this and then pull in the back side, really hugging the seat down. And then these are going to go underneath and it's going to clip underneath, and this is going to make sure that it's not coming out as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and use our big needle and then go through this segment. When you do this, you want to make sure that you're off at an angle. It's a lot easier to do this than the rear seats, in my opinion. I'm going to push it all the way. And then you see I'm not putting too much. I'm putting about like 3 or 4 inches. And the needle is out here. Just pull it through. The next is going to be, again, the same thing over here. We're going to go ahead and pull through. Now that we have that process done, we're going to go ahead and kind of loosely align all of the seat cover area. and we're gonna feed this through underneath, okay? We're just gonna pull it on the other side. We're not gonna grab the elastic. Instead, we're gonna be grabbing the leather. And you can see it's already starting to fit a lot better, right? So we're gonna go ahead and go underneath right here and start going inside this trim. It's a pretty strong cord right here. It's a rubber cord. You're just gonna make sure that it goes all the way in. All right, we're gonna be doing the same thing. There's a small trim. And this, just feed it all the way through. Okay, and now that it is, we're gonna go ahead and pull the strings down. And you can see in the front, as I pull it, it really puts the seat back into where it needs to go. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the bottom flap a little bit more as well. And then I'm gonna pull the hard cord that I got right here. So you can see that there's 2 cords. Before we tie anything, you can see the fitment is significantly better already. When I look outside, I don't want to see any white right here. And you could kind of go and make sure that it looks good. So now that I'm happy and I've confirmed that, we're gonna go ahead and tie the big elastic strap. I'm just gonna double knot it. All right, so now that we have that done, we have this one other cable right here, this line, and we're gonna be doing the same thing. And we're gonna go underneath. So now that we have that done, we have to clip everything else. So just grab one of these clips. You're gonna go ahead and just go through. And what you're looking for is just a plastic trim. You never wanna go on the actual wire or anything like that. This is such an awkward, my face is probably like backwards. Okay, so here's the next one. One thing to notice how there's a cable running like this. It just goes underneath that. So that pretty much sums up the bottom one. And then you can move on to this seat. If you see the seam right here, there's a double seam. This is where it's gonna go through, right at the bottom part of that. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our needle and make sure you split that right here. Go in between. You're just gonna go through. And this one's a lot easier. We're gonna go ahead and thread it through. Leave another 4 or 5 inches of thread. And then go ahead and pull it out from the other side. Good deal. All right, let's go ahead and do the other one as well. And same thing right here. Now that we have those threads in, when you do this, be careful because you don't want to unthread it. That sucks. You're gonna go ahead and start at the top and make sure that it's over. And then we're gonna go ahead and pull it down like so. And we're gonna go ahead and feed the bottom right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this right here. And again, there's gonna be 3 of these, right? 1, 2, 3. So you wanna make sure that all of them, and then you got one more right here, and then you got one more right here. And now that we have pulled the bottom, we're gonna go ahead and put this into place. You're gonna pull straight back. And what this does, you'll see the seat kind of tighten up. And now that we're at the back, we're gonna go ahead and just fit it a little bit better as well. There you go. My circles right here line up perfectly. I'm pretty happy with the top alignment, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this a little bit. We're gonna pull all these segments right here, all these elastics, and this will allow it to really pull everything together, right? So I got a bunch of these clips. We give you a lot, and it's gonna go same thing that we've been doing. And you wanna force it, not like crazy, but you wanna just make sure that there's enough. And what I like to do is Just make sure that it's pulling in different evenly around the side. Like if you have it all the way up here, don't put this right here. Put it at the same area, right? You want to make sure that it's pulling down in this case. We're going to go ahead and do this one as well. There's one. One thing I also want to show is, if you notice, I try to put it here. This little plastic clip is very, very flimsy. You do not want to put it here. You want to put it on the yellow, which is a lot more sturdier. One, again, reminder is never to put any of these clips on the cable itself. Stay away from the metal ones because these are actually the areas where the backseat cover is going to go in. Everything looks good on the back. Let's go ahead and inspect it in the front. So we got one more little piece to do. This is, again, a little bit different from the back seats. It's a lot bigger, okay? So just keep that in mind. You cannot share the two, right? Because they're different sizes. So for this, you're gonna go ahead and insert it from the top. And if you look, this little circle stitch right here, that's always gonna be the front. You're gonna pull it as far as you can. We're gonna go ahead and focus on the little inserts first. So go ahead and pull in. And then down. And there you go. So now that we have all components, let's go ahead and put the seat back. The main thing that you wanna keep in mind is these two hooks. These two hooks go into this metal insert right here. The other thing is this side right here is going to hook into this metal right here. So when you're pushing it down, it's a metal bracket that goes here. It kind of goes in like so. This one, the main thing is it just needs to be in the right position where when this goes down, it goes all the way through. So notice how I go from the bottom and then go all the way through, and then it goes straight into this metal. Just make sure that they're both visible. Yep, they are. And there you go. You're gonna make sure the seats are down. I wanna push this in, okay? You want it pretty inserted all the way. And once you insert it all the way, you'll feel it with your hand. There you go. You should hear a click when you go all the way down, and it is locked. Congratulations, you're almost done. You just have one more seat to go. But before we kind of end this video, one thing I want to clarify is it is recommended that you do steam the seats after installation. So we're gonna put a video right here that individual made. What you wanna do is get a steamer, and you could get really any sort of fabric steamer, but you wanna put a towel on top and steam on it, right? Because you don't want direct steam on the seat itself, and you don't wanna wet it. But get a big towel and then steam on it, and then kind of go over the whole thing a few more passes, and that should be good to go. That'll have enough heat right here. I would avoid using a heat gun. That's too much of a direct heat. And that's why I like steam. It's a lot more indirect. So once you do that, some of the areas that might not fit as perfectly, or maybe has some wrinkles, will start to kind of dissipate, and it'll fit a lot better. So make sure you do that. It's not, required, but if you're unhappy with some of those areas, that's how you get rid of it.